What's up guys, welcome back or to the channel. Today I think we are finally going to be doing our leveling kit on the Gladiator, and this is my 2022 Gladiator Rubicon. I've had this for about 2 months now, and I have taken it off-road once, and I think that I can definitely benefit from a leveling kit. I will be doing a full lift kit and tires and everything like that, but right now I think I want to just do a leveling kit, just to basically do something nice and quick and even it out and give myself a little bit more clearance, and hopefully we can get some newer tires before we do a lift kit and see how those clear with the leveling kit. But right now I parked right here by this wall because, as you can see behind me, they have this design on the wall and there is like a nice level line, so I can basically show you guys the difference between what the Jeep is starting out and what the Jeep is going to end up like, and basically how unlevel it is already. So let's take a quick look. So you can see it does have a bit of a rake. It doesn't sit level. If it was sitting level, it would be sitting level with that line on the wall. That line is pretty much as level as it gets around here. It follows the line of the brick, and the brick should have been laid level if it was done right. So yeah. And you can see basically it's not terrible, but it does sit a little bit higher in the back. And when I measured it from my rock rails right here to the ground, it is 1.5 inches lower in the front. So that is why I got myself 1.5 inch leveling kit. Now I did get a few other things because I do want to make sure that this thing drives well. It is an expensive vehicle, it is a nice vehicle, it drives great out of the factory, and I don't want to ruin that. So what I did is I got myself a track bar, an adjustable track bar, as well as one more item that a lot of people overlook that I will be showing you guys in a moment. It isn't too expensive. It is a MOPAR part, and they do cost around $60 per side. You will need one for each side. Obviously, when you're doing suspension, whatever you do to one side, you want to do to the other. So I will show you guys that part. But you can see this is where we're starting out at. We will come back here at the end just to basically compare. But let's go and let's tear it apart. Let's throw on the leveling kit and let's see how she looks. Now I will add that I am not doing any kind of towing or any kind of heavy hauling. If you are doing towing or heavy hauling, then you probably won't need the the leveling kit, because you will be leveling yourself out every time you put weight in the bed. Now, even when I went off-roading and when I went camping, all of the stuff that I brought with me didn't weigh the bed down enough to level the truck out. So I don't think I have an issue of actually sitting and having that nice Carolina lean. So definitely I think it's going to stay level even when I do load up the bed. The suspension is pretty stiff in this thing and it takes a load pretty well. And here it is. So the cat's out of the bag. I will be adding control arms, and like I mentioned, these are from MOPAR. So we've got basically, well, not basically, exactly the lower control arms out of the MOPAR 2-inch lift kit. And I'll show you guys side by side these ones to the ones that are on the Jeep right now. These are probably like 5/8 of an inch longer. Like, they're not much longer, but that is the amount of length you need to help your caster out, or that caster adjustment when you lift the Jeep. So if you don't know anything, or if you haven't learned too much about these solid axle vehicles, what happens is when you lift one of these is the track bar is connected to the frame and connected to the axle, and it's connected on an angle. As you lift the vehicle, it travels on an angle, and basically what happens is your axle starts shifting. And I honestly think that they use the same track bar on all of these, like the Saharas, the Sports, the Rubicons, because my steering wheel has been off just a hair from factory the entire time. And I believe it's because my axle sticks out a little bit more on my driver's side, because I think they use the same track bars on all of these vehicles. I don't think they have a different track bar for every different vehicle. Like I said, like the Sport, the Overland, the Max Tow package, the Rubicon, I don't think they put different track bars. I think the track bar is a standard item, but they do change the springs, which changes the amount of lift you have, as well as the tires, which changes how the geometry is from each different vehicle. So I believe what's happening here is I have it a little bit off. So what I did is I got a track bar, and the 2 inches that you're going to get from the control arms are going to do the caster, because the same thing happens when your control arm is connected to your axle and to your frame here. When you lift the vehicle, it wants to do this, and it brings your wheels in. So because we're going 1.5 inches up, we're going to bring it out just a little bit more to bring it back to stock. And I have read up on the forums extensively, and everybody recommends getting these. Here in Canada, I think I paid about 55 or 60 bucks per piece. So they're not expensive. You can probably get them even cheaper in the States. And they are an official MOPAR part. There is the part number. So if you guys do need these, or if you do a leveling kit, I definitely recommend you pick these up. And they do come pretty scuffed up and marred up from factory or from MOPAR. So I'm gonna just give them a quick coat with some black spray paint right there real quick, right before I throw them on. I'll show you guys the track bar in a minute. Here is the leveling kit. Basically what you get is spacers for your bump stops, as well as spacers for your coil springs. So you get an inch and you get a half an inch. It's your choice whether you want to use both. I'm going to use both. If you don't use the entire thing, you do still have a little bit of a rake. I have done my measurement from this point on the front and the back, and it is 1.5 inches lower from here to the ground on the front than it is to the back. Now, in the driveway here, it's hard to tell, but the driveway does slope, and that's why the vehicle looks level right now. Or actually, it even looks like it's leaning back a little bit. And that's why we did that original shot in that parking lot there, so you guys can see the actual level and the slope of it. So now we're gonna do the leveling kit, and we'll go back there and give you guys an actual before and after and see the actual difference. So now let's start tearing it apart, and I'll show you guys real quick. This isn't gonna be a how-to video, but I will basically break it down for you guys how to do it. But yeah, let's go and let's start tearing it apart. Well guys, I'm sorry I didn't show you the entire process, but there was a lot of sweating and cussing. No, it wasn't that bad. I have been following the instructions. We are at this point, and she is on the jack, even though it kind of looks like it's on the ground. She is on the jack, and we've got everything taken apart on this side. Just to give you a quick overview, I already have the new control arm in. The old one is over here. And sorry for the noise in the background. My mom and my girlfriend are cleaning out the garage. But you can see here the difference. If you line them up perfectly on one end, you can see the new one is like a hair longer. So it's gonna help our caster out just enough. And yeah, they are factory. They still have the factory mounting point for all your brackets. We've got our core 4x4 tier 3. So this guy's got a Johnny joint on one end. That's going to be our frame side. And we've got a poly on the actual axle side. Now, the reason I didn't get Johnny joints on both ends is I wanted a little bit more shock absorption and just ease of having a better ride. So we've got one end that's going to be a little bit softer, one end that's going to be a little bit stiffer. Both of them are going to have decent articulation because of the Johnny joint. So now I'm just going to throw in my spacers and throw everything back together. So we're basically going to do this, and these. And they're all over there cussing and yelling. All right. Oh, that was not me. That was my chair, I promise you. But now we've got our spacers, which will go up in here first. I know it's a little bit dark, but basically what's going to happen is we're going to do our spacer, and then our factory isolator is going to go like so. So to get to this point, what I did was I loosened the control arm both sides, upper and lower. I removed my sway bar link, which is right here. I also removed my track bar bolt, which is, as you can see, just hanging there in space. I'm going to remove the other side once we get to the other side, and we will get this guy to line up once we actually bolt everything back up. So let me start bolting everything back up, and I'll show you guys what it looks like once I get at least one side done. Well, I lied. I forgot to update you guys halfway through once we finished one side, but we just finished the entire thing. And I know it's a little bit dark, so it's a bit hard to see. So I won't bother you with showing you guys this stuff now. We will go and check it out and compare it in the parking lot to see how much it is leaning now. But one thing that I do need to do that a lot of people might forget is aim your headlights. And I put these stickers here earlier because this is the cutoff for my headlights. My bottom headlight was cutting off basically at that line, so that kind of gave me an eyeball of where that should be. Or sorry, my fog light. My fog light was cutting off at that line, so I should basically be able to find that one pretty easy. These ones, I put myself a couple stickers just so that I can line it up real quick. Now let's see. Ooh, I need keys, don't I? All right, we'll set her into run mode, get the lights going. There we go. So now you can see that one is a little bit too high and this one is a little bit too high. And funny enough, it did move up perfectly 1.5 inches. So now we're just gonna move them back down 1.5 inches. And we do that by twisting the adjustment screw. And the adjustment screw is a Phillips head, I believe, for both the fog lights and the headlights. So let me go grab that and we'll adjust them. And right in there, you can see that little yellow guy. That's our adjustment screw. So I hope this is long enough. Okay, we got this. I ended up grabbing a ratchet and an extension and I got it in there. And there you have it. So you can see one is a little bit lower now. One basically matches up with the sticker. The other one is still 1.5 inches above. So we're just gonna lower the other one now and then we'll do the fog lights. And there you have it. Now they are perfectly even. Now we gotta do the fog lights. And I believe they are also a Phillips. Actually, this one I had to end up using an Allen head socket because the other one wasn't working. But as you can see, we got this one adjusted. There's our 1.5 inches. Now let's adjust the other side. I think that's right where we want to be. So now we've got our fogs and our headlights back to where they were stock. Now I'm going to go for a drive, test out exactly the drivability and how everything acts. And then tomorrow morning, I'll show you guys the full stance. So I'll see you guys in the morning. And welcome back, guys. Now it has been a couple of days actually since we did the install, and I have actually had the opportunity to take this thing on a nice long drive. I went and visited a couple friends at their cottage this weekend, so I did about 600 or 700 kilometers and it was pretty good. Like, I haven't had any issues. A lot of people will say that the drivability isn't the best, in the sense that it gets a little bit more harsh after you throw on a leveling kit. Or did I say lift kit earlier? But yeah, leveling kit. So after you throw on the leveling kit, sometimes people say that the ride is a little bit more harsh. I haven't experienced that, but I do have a Rubicon. So I do have the Fox shocks. It does ride great. It rode great before, and I haven't had any issues thus far. And as far as the drivability, as I told you guys earlier, I always felt like my steering wheel was a little bit off from factory. And now that we have everything installed, actually, I never even installed my track bar. To be honest with you, my track bar I didn't need, because after I did the entire install and I centered everything up, the track bar fit back perfectly. So I never ended up taking out the upper nut. I ended up loosening everything, but I ended up leaving everything in just to see how much of a difference it would be, and it was no difference. So I put it back together, and I'll show you guys in a moment that my axle sits pretty much where it should be. And even when you talk to MOPAR, or the guys at the dealership at the parts department, and you ask them about getting yourself a MOPAR lift, they also don't include a track bar in that kit, and they don't recommend a track bar because they say you don't need it. I got the track bar just because I know from prior Jeeps, or my prior Jeep, one Jeep that I own and that I've lifted, I know that I needed to do a track bar even with a minimal lift. So I got it just in case. So I haven't installed the track bar. We did the control arms, we did the spacers, and yeah, pretty much that's it, just the control arms and the spacers. So I'll show you guys how she drives, because I'm in a parking lot right now where it's pretty level, because with a solid axle vehicle like this, when you're on any kind of a uneven surface, like when you're on a road, they're not perfectly straight because they need to have a little bit of like a crest for drainage, so that when it rains, you don't have big puddles of rain, or at least here, that's how they do it. So they're always a little bit slanted. So even though you're driving straight, your wheel's a little bit off in a solid axle vehicle to compensate for that slant, because if your wheel was straight, you would kind of go off the road. So here we're at a parking lot where it's pretty flat. So I'll show you guys what that looks like, but it tracks pretty damn well, and I'm surprised actually. So you can see here, my steering is straight. If we go down to vehicle info, we have 0% right there on the steering. You can see it changing as you turn it. So we'll keep it at 0. Steering wheel is straight. And if we start going, she tracks pretty damn straight. So I honestly don't have any issues with that. I think that the steering is great. If I let go of the wheel, it centers itself back up and she goes straight. So I really don't have any issues with that. I feel like the drivability is awesome. I have no complaints at all. And I think that what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go and show you guys what it looks like from the outside. And it honestly looks great, exactly the way I wanted it to. I'm surprised at how well it drives. Like I said, the ride isn't any more harsh, and yeah, it just honestly drives just like stock. Now, I do think that my tracking on the highway is a lot better. Before, I used to have to adjust a little left, adjust a little right, and it would never really go perfectly straight. You would kind of always be adjusting. Now I can honestly let go of the wheel and the thing will drive itself down the highway straight as long as you want it to. You don't have to adjust a little left, a little right. It drives amazing. Like I can show you here, if we line her up again, because there isn't too many people out here, and hand off the wheel, one hand's on the camera. It tracks a little bit to the left, but as you can see, the actual pavement here is slanted to the left. But if I hold the wheel straight for you guys without actually adjusting it left or right, like I was mentioning, if you're on the highway and you're driving it straight and I don't adjust it left or right, she drives perfectly straight. Like, you got no issues. So I love it. I'm honestly super happy with how it drives and how it turned out. Now we're at the same spot. If you guys remember that thing on the wall there, let's hop out and let's see how it measures up. Because honestly, I haven't been here yet myself, but yeah, that is a lot better. You can see she still has a bit of a rake, and that is actually preferred for me, because this way I can load up the back, go camping, go off-roading, do whatever I need to do, and I don't have an issue with looking like I have a Carolina lean. So I'm super happy. It's pretty much like 90% straight. Even if I was to take out my iPhone here, and if we go to the level app, you can see we're straight. Like, we are there. Same thing with the sliders, we're there. Same thing if I put it on the window here, we're good. So she is level. That's as level as you're gonna get it. And there is a slight rake. Like, you can see it here when you're actually putting it up against the wall. By looking at the line of the bed and looking at the roof line, she does have a slight bit of rake. And I enjoy that. I honestly don't mind it, for the reasons of having it still useful, still being able to load up the back and not have it crouch. And I have actually loaded up the back when we went up north, and no issues at all. She still had a bit of a rake actually, so awesome. One other thing that I did that I would recommend for anybody replacing any parts on any of their vehicles is get yourself a paint marker. As you can see in here, let me see if I can get a close-up for you guys. Right there, I paint marked everything from my sway bars to my track bar. I don't know if I'll be able to squeeze the camera in to show you the upper control arms, but I've got it on the lowers here. I've got it on the front of the lowers, sway bar, track bar, both sides, as well as all my control arms, any bolt that we touched basically got paint marked. Now, the reason I paint marked everything was for one simple reason. I don't have to go down and check to see if everything is tight. I can visually take a quick look after off-roading, after a long drive, after whatever you just want to check. If you want to go down there and check all your nuts and bolts by hand, great. But if you want to just visually be able to look at everything and see has anything moved or rotated at all, it's a great way. Paint marker will cost you probably about 10 bucks for a good one. As you can see, today it's raining. The vehicle is filthy because I drove back 3 hours in the rain. So that's why I didn't wash it today. But even through driving it 3 hours in the rain, the paint never washed off. The paint is still there on all of the markings that I made. I'm just super happy now because I know nothing is loose. I can visually check it super quickly, and it's just a peace of mind thing because every time you go off-road, if you hear any kind of bumps or knocks or squeaks or rattles, it's really easy to go and see if it's anything that you have previously touched, or if you've previously touched, or if it's something new. And if it's something new, obviously you won't have the paint mark on it, but it's really easy to go and see if it's anything that was touched by you or if you've done it before. So now you have that peace of mind because all you have to do is visually check, lean over, take a quick look. You can do it on the trail, you can do it at home, and it's just that much quicker, and you don't have to worry about going down there and having the tools on you to check every single time, and you don't have to get down and get dirty. So overall, I am super happy with how it turned out. I'm sure that we'll be able to fit some larger tires under here without having to actually go and get a lift right away. I'm actually on the fence whether I want to go get my lift first or if I want to go get my tires first, because I know this thing will fit up to like a 38 under it without having to do any kind of modifications. I will even be able to take that off-road. I might have to do bump stops at that point, but I can take it off-road with 38s without having to lift it. And that's honestly what I want to do. I want to get some 38s. 37s are nice. Everybody has 37s, but I want to be a bit different. And I don't want to run 40s because then you, excuse me, then you start getting into like all kinds of just everything has to be beefed up basically. You get into all kinds of additional compensating mods, and I don't want to deal with that right now. I kind of want to just do a lift and tires, and now I'm on the fence whether to get my lift or my tires first, because yeah, like I said, I can run the tires without the lift. And if I get the lift first, it looks kind of weird if you don't get the tires. And to save myself some money, maybe we'll run some bigger tires and see how that works out without the lift. And obviously we'll still do the lift, but it'll be a nice before and after to see how it performs without the lift and just larger tires, because these things will fit, like I said, up to a 38 under it without having to do a lift because of how high the fenders are on a Rubicon, as well as how much wheel well space there is under these things. These things just eat tires. As soon as you put a larger tire under it, it just looks a lot smaller than on any other vehicle. I don't know why, but it just happens. So you guys will see, once I get myself the bigger tires, this thing will start to get bigger and beefier, and it'll start to get even more capable. So if you haven't seen me take it off-road, definitely jump down there on the channel and check out those previous videos, because we have taken it off-road already in its pure stock form. We will take it off-road with the leveling kit, and then we'll take it off-road as we keep building it, because the plan is to keep building it. So hopefully you guys will be there with me. Now, if you enjoyed today's video, please jump down there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. But until then, guys, ride safe out there. Peace.